Hey team, in this week's episode of Upside, we're going to run through the mistakes Zamir and I have made in our over 20 years of selling online. So listen up, it's going to save you some pain, it's going to save you some money.
Hey team, today we're going to get vulnerable with you. We're going to be talking about our mistakes when we first started out on Amazon. A lot of our expertise comes from our own personal experience and mistakes that we've made and we've survived. And we know that we can add value to others by guiding them through those mistakes and errors and helping them to avoid them. Right, Ali?
Yeah, and I think before we start and we go through like the mistakes that we've made, and there's loads of them. So there's actually gonna be a two-part series. We could probably make a whole mini series based on this. But anyway, it's probably useful just to run through just a little bit of context on our origin story. Do you want to tell them, just the people, about who's Zamir? How did you get to Amazon stardom?
So I started Amazon when I saw an opportunity to build a consumer electronics brand that sold products I wanted to buy at the quality that I was looking for. And I started it on a credit card. I took a credit card and I flew out to China. That's how I started. That was my origin story.
So badass. That's so badass. And just for context, why I get to hang out with Zamir is I helped someone run their company called Coconut Merchant. They'd founded it and I kind of took over. Our first market that we kind of broke into was Amazon. And that's how we grew the company into what it became and still is, and also how we got all our massive retail distribution as well. So there's I started in 2014. I think you were in 2012.
Yeah, that's right.
So between us, there's a fair bit of time and experience, and Amazon's changed a lot since then. But I think the mistakes are consistent, and so these are the ones we're going to run through and give everybody a little bit of benefit so that you don't make the same mistakes. So if you are a Amazon seller, this is definitely for you. So let's dive on through.
Lesson number one is what happens if you don't test products for new markets. I had some amazing speakers, right? With these pill-shaped speakers, they had like a 4.6 to 4.8 rating in the UK and actually in Germany. Germany was our highest rating, which I was so proud of. I thought these are amazing. They're Bluetooth speakers. And so we'd just finished doing a successful raise on Seedrs, the equity crowdfunding platform. And that allowed us to scale even quicker. And our first port of expansion was the US. And so I ordered 10,000 of our best-selling speakers, which was a significant investment to be delivered directly into the US from our factories in China. And the speakers hit. They'd done all the quality tests and everything on them. So I knew that everything was, in that sense, was good. They landed, they started selling, and we suddenly started getting these lower reviews, right? We got some really good, strong reviews, and then we get these 2s and 3s that were creeping in, some 1s as well, which I'd never seen before. And within a few months, our 4.8 rating was like coming down, and it got into the point where it was sort of like 3.7. And looking through those reviews, first of all, I couldn't work out what it was, right? People were saying they kept on losing connectivity. We did some purchases of them. We got them back. We tested them. Connectivity didn't seem to be an issue, but it kept on. They're saying the distance wasn't working. Fundamentally, what had happened was in the UK, in Europe, where homes are densely packed, we are running off of Bluetooth, 10-meter range, no problems at all. And again, in urban areas in the US, exactly the same thing, no issues. But outside of those urban areas, we suddenly realized people have much bigger homes, and Bluetooth back then only operated on a 10-meter range, and people were losing connection. And so what the prevailing technology in the US at the time was actually Wi-Fi speakers, not Bluetooth speakers, for this very reason. Wi-Fi speakers gave up to 50 meters. So that these large homes were able to run these speakers in them. That was the issue. That was a lesson I learned. They may speak the same language as us. In the US, the products I thought culturally would work, but there was a simple reason why I should have tested my product before going in with diving in with 10,000 units.
That's kind of the lesson, right? Every market is different. What you think works really well in one place may not work so well in another. So the kind of like takeaway from that I get from that is basically, if you're going to enter a new market, do a micro shipment first, right? That helps with two things. One is you can make sure you get the stock in easily. So that part's easier. And then you're not sending 10,000 units of something that may not work in the local market, even though it's ace and nailing it everywhere else. Would you say that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a valuable lesson, and it feels hard to hear you read it back to me. But yeah, I learned it. It was expensive.
All right, just let it all out, man. Just tell me how it is. It's okay.
No. Come on, I've
I can
got
be that shoulder.
your
I can be
turn.
that shoulder.
Come on, I've got the shoulder for you to cry on now. Come on.
Okay, lesson number 2: taking lessons from big brands. We sell coconut oil, and we sell a lot of coconut oil. And one of the biggest issues. So we sell coconut oil in a glass jar, and that means it's getting sent to an Amazon warehouse. It's getting packed. Amazon will do some bubble wrapping, and then it's going to get sent to the customer. And glass being glass, it has a very good tendency to break because, as you know, these courier drivers, and much love to courier drivers, you do a very important role, but you can be a little bit rough. And so they'll pick up the block parcels, throw them in their truck, and then they'd hit the wall and like hit the ground. And I saw this happening a few times. And so I'm like, damn, all that glass is just destroyed. That's not going to survive. And so for me, the painful thing was because not only is the customer going to get it broken, and they're dissatisfied, Amazon's going to reimburse them. And so we're going to lose out on the money. Plus, we're sending them a replacement because I want to keep the customer happy. So I think for me, it was not really thinking about the full aspect of the customer experience and taking lessons from big companies. And so here's the example, right? For anyone watching, and I'm going to ask Zamir as well, okay? You buy Apple products. How many
Yep,
Apple iPhone boxes do you have in your house right now?
I have a lot.
Right? And that's the thing, because they really care about the packaging, so much so they put all the great quality into it, and then you just value that box and you keep it, even though it's completely redundant and it does nothing. You don't need the barcodes, you don't need anything on it, but you just keep it, right? And everybody keeps those Apple boxes. And I wasn't taking a lesson from the big companies, so that's something we did. We spent a long time investing in proper packaging so that we didn't have any product quality issues around like our products arriving damage to customers. And so now if you buy our coconut oil, it comes in biodegradable housing in these kind of like beautiful little molds. It's a glass jar, but we invest that extra little bit. So one, customer experience is great. Two, doesn't arrive damaged. And our test for it was actually get a box, throw it against a brick wall, and have it hit the ground. So basically, I had to survive 2 impacts, kind of like the DPD truck or the, not gonna name any like Hermes. Like it had to hit a wall and then the ground, and then that was our test. Like, we know that works. And so that was my thing, is not taking lessons from big companies who have already invested loads in their quality assurance.
Actually, Ellie, one other piece of info on that, right? I do have a lot of iPhone boxes. Do you know what I have more boxes of? I have more coconut oil boxes in my house than I have iPhone boxes. I receive more of those, and they're such good quality. So we just store things in them all the time. So yeah, they're really easy. They stack really well. So there you go. And lesson number 3, vendor or marketplace. Okay, so I'm going to be a little bit cheeky with my next one, because actually it was a near miss. It was a mistake I didn't make, but I almost made, because I started on marketplace and we were doing really well, and then we got this invitation. I was so excited. A program from Amazon. There's a few near misses I've had, but the one I'm going to pick on is the vendor program. We were invited to join the vendor program. Went in, spoke with Amazon, sounded amazing, but it made me ever so slightly nervous, because Amazon have a habit of promising
Your
things
spider senses were tingling.
and not delivering. And I suddenly realized how much control I was going to lose. And so when it came to signing the document, I actually didn't sign it. I avoided them for a while, and then I just let them disappear. The reason I bring this up is because not everybody made the same decision as I did.
Oh, man. Yeah, that happened to us. Okay, so okay, I'm gonna get some context, just in case there's some kind of like new sellers in here. I'm just gonna explain the whole vendor thing, and then I'm gonna come back, because there will be also some listeners potentially who are on vendor and loving it. But I'm just gonna quickly explain. So Amazon has two. When you're buying on Amazon, you don't realize the difference, but on the back end, there's 2 different companies. There's Amazon Marketplace and there's Amazon Vendor. Amazon Vendor operates like a supermarket. So they'll send you a purchase order, and then you accept the purchase order, and then they sell it on your behalf. So they are the seller on record. That's the really important nugget on there. You don't own the stock. Once you hand it over, it's theirs, and they can sell it for whatever price they want and all that kind of thing. Marketplace, on the other hand, is kind of like the extension of your website. You're still the seller on record. These two platforms or two companies are rivals, and they're often called different things. So vendors sometimes called 1P or first party, so because Amazon's the first party, or 3P, where Amazon Marketplace, you're a third party selling on the Amazon website. The customer doesn't know the difference, pretty much all the same. And if they pay attention, you can tell the difference, but it's a very kind of minute little thing. So that's the thing, that's the sound of it, right? So that's the kind of context. There's a whole lot of nuances around it, and we can go into details in a different pod, but just understand sell on record is the key difference, right? So here's us. We are young, happy little company that's just started out. We're kicking butt on Amazon Marketplace. We have just got to number one in the space of like 6 to 8 months. And then we're at a trade show, and then these two guys from Amazon come up to our stand like, hey, we would like to invite you to be on the Amazon vendor program and like look into that. And basically it's like Amazon is going to buy our stock. They'll buy it in pallets and stick it into their warehouse. We'll put our feet up, and then we'll go enjoy the coconuts on the beaches of Sri Lanka. No, it doesn't. That's not what happens, right? So because they're the sell on record, you have to give them a margin, just like a supermarket. But what we didn't realize is they have these retro fees. So they have additional fees that they charge on top of their margin, but we didn't realize because unlike Demir, my spider senses weren't tingling, and I didn't read the contract as well as I did, as I should have. And I'm the lawyer. And we just signed away, giving them amazing margins, and they're not realizing they're going to actually charge us extra on top of that. So yeah, that was a really painful experience for us. This may not be for everybody, and not every company is set up for marketplace. If you're a larger brand, vendor may be the one that you need to go with because just how they operate. But yeah, we got punished because it meant that we couldn't control our pricing. Doing promotions became really difficult because we no longer had the margins to do it. They were buying all our stock because it was kicking butt, it was just flying on the shelves, but we were just suffering and making hardly any margin on it. And that was a painful lesson, I have to say, just because it took a long time for us to resolve it. Some of which I don't know if I can broadcast out, but it was, and if you find me in the street, no, more than happy to tell you the context.
DM Ali, he'll tell you about it.
DM me, yeah. But yeah, basically, lesson is basically vendor is not for everybody. So read the fine print.
Okay, so we've done 3, I think there. That's probably the end of the pod for today. But just to recap on those, what we learned, Ali?
Takeaways. My lesson number 1, just because it works in one market doesn't mean it'll work in every market. So dip your toe in first before you dive on in, just like a swimming pool. And make sure that the product that you've got is going to work through in the new market. 2, take lessons from big companies because they have spent a lot of money and burnt a lot of money in learning stuff. So if you have idle brands that you like, learn from them, take lessons from them. Consider recycling or throwing away those Apple boxes. And 3, vendor versus marketplace. Vendor is great for some, but not for everybody. So read the fine print. Amazon may invite you into a program. I guess it's a broad thing. Amazon or your marketplace. Amazon, I'm sure they're not the only ones who do this stuff, but your marketplace may send you and invite you into a program, but read the fine print. Don't get into cars with strangers. But yeah, so those are our 2 takeaways. This is going to be part of another episode, guys. There's a little micro series on it where we're going to talk about some of the mistakes we've made. And the next one, we're going to talk about mistakes that a lot of beginner brands make. So if that's you guys, tune in, hit the next button and listen to that one if it's already been released.
Subscribe.
Yeah.
It's easier that way.
Yeah. Much love, guys. Peace.
Peace out. One up.
Hey team, if you've been enjoying Upside and want to keep getting that sweet value on marketplaces, please click follow, subscribe, or whatever it is you're listening on, and follow us along. It'll make our day.